Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. It has been a while since I have posted anything on here. I think the last thing I did was the book review with my friend Keisha. No, it was the unboxing video with my sister. Yeah, it's been a minute, but I am back to do a book review. Just a heads up, I apologize for any background noise. My apartments are right behind a baseball field and a park, and there are kids playing outside. Even with the windows closed, you can hear them, so apologize for that in advance. I don't have a good space for recording yet, but we're gonna get right into it. I am doing 15-minute book reviews. I went through a binge book reading phase, and these are the books that I read. I averaged about maybe 3 books every 2 to 3 days. I was procrastinating because I was having serious writer's block, and every time I tried to sit down to write, nothing would come to mind. So I would open up a book instead and read. And so this is the outcome of that. Still have a little bit of writer's block, so I'm probably gonna go back to binge reading for a little bit, see if that helps. So my plan here is to set a timer for 15 minutes. When the timer goes off, I will just stop wherever I was at and just move on to the next book. I don't think I want to hear Bulletin though. Nope. That's pretty. Okay. See if I can manage that for a little bit. Also, Penny is very nosy and will be jumping in here every now and then, as you've probably seen her in a lot of my other videos. So, all right, let's get into it. All right. Start the timer. The first book I will be talking about is The Bone Maker by Sarah Beth Durst. Okay, so I went into this book expecting to like it because I do like reading a lot of fantasy stuff. It didn't take the turn that it didn't go the way that I thought it was going to go, where I'm gonna try to avoid doing spoilers for these reviews because I really want everybody to read these books on their own and form their own opinions of them. The adventure story they go on, I didn't expect the adventure to go the way it did. Like, they do have to battle a great evil. It wasn't the evil that I expected though. But the characters I really enjoyed, especially our main character, Kreia. She felt like a very believable character. So Kreia led this little band of warriors against this, we'll just call him the very evil guy. So she leads this band of warriors against this very evil guy, and in this fight her lover dies. And it's not a spoiler because you literally find out right at the beginning that she's using her powers to keep him alive. So she's using bone magic to keep him alive. He's not really alive, but she can reanimate him for a certain amount of time. And after the battle and the warriors went their separate way, she shuts herself off from all of them. So like years go by and she doesn't hear from any of them, or they don't hear from her. So she completely shuts herself off, and like she ends up needing them to get more bones and do all these other things. And by reuniting with them and finding out what's going on, they end up realizing they have to get back together and they have to fight this evil one last time. So it's just, it's a story. It very much read to me like a story about grief, and like how you're not alone in your grief. You just have to accept the fact that, or not really accept, but understand that grief affects us all in different ways, but people are there for you, and you just have to reach out. And it hurts and it's hard, but people are there for you. Your friends, your family are there for you. And Kreia has a hard time throughout the entire book. She has a hard time coming to terms or grips with the fact that she did make a mistake by closing herself off from her friends, who were also grieving the loss of her lover, who was essentially like a brother to them, because they were all this close-knit family of warriors. It's an interesting, you get to see what happened to the rest of them after the battle was over, what they did with their own grief, and how they moved on with their lives. And it's such a different contrast to Kreia, who lives in this decrepit building that's falling apart. And it was just, it showed how grief can either make you stronger or make you weaker. I feel like I'm talking way too much about grief in an adventure story. But so basically they're going back to the battlefield where it all happened, and she wants to get as many bones as she possibly can to keep reanimating her lover. And that's where they find out that the war that they thought was over is not over, and hence the whole story again happens. Like everything they went through, they're like, crap, we have to go through this all over again. Are you kidding me? So I don't know. I felt like it was a really good, well-rounded story. The characters, I enjoyed them immensely. Kreia is my favorite just because of her growth throughout the story. So you start off going, God damn, you were an idiot. Like closing off from your friends like that was just not a smart choice. And then you watch her internal struggle with what she did, and you learn and grow with her, basically. So it was enjoyable. I got this book in my Unplugged book box subscription, so I don't know, good choice on them. I don't really know what else I want to say about this. So maybe I don't really need 15 minutes for these. The scenic writing, the descriptions, all of that, really well. I don't remember if this ended with like a cliffhanger, if there's going to be a second one or not. It didn't really specify. Let me double check real quick. I didn't plan out what I was going to say. I just wanted to speak from the pressure of a timer. Sometimes I work better under pressure. Let's see, Bone Maker. No, at this point, I don't think there's going to be a second one. Yeah, I think this is the only one, but it's well worth a read. I highly recommend it. Sorry. I'm not going to keep dragging on because I don't really have anything else that I want to say about it. So we're going to stop that early. Yeah, The Bone Maker by Sarah Beth Durst. I recommend. And we'll keep piling up the books right here as I go. All right, I'm going to put it down to 10 and see what happens there. Next book, She Who Became the Sun by Shelley Parker Chan. Okay, this book was really enjoyable. Like, the fucking, okay, so it starts off with a girl. You don't know the girl's name because, so it's back in like 1345. It's China. The sons are more valued. And this little girl has no fate, but her brother, Zhu, has this fate of greatness. And literally out of nowhere, both Zhu and their father, they die. And the little girl, it's like, well, I'm not going that route. No, thank you. And so she takes her brother's identity because he's dead and decides, I'm going to be great. And literally, that's the entire book, is I'm going to do everything that I can to be great. She goes to a monastery, becomes a monk, gets away with pretending to be a boy her entire life. This little girl is clever, like clever, witty, smart, sometimes a coward, but in a good way. And it was literally a page turner for me, because I did not want to put, this is one of the books that I read in like a day and a half. Like I read it until like 3 a.m. and then realized like, holy crap, I should really go to bed. My eyes hurt. And then picked up as soon as I woke up, because I did not want to stop reading about how does she become the sun? Like she becomes like a general, I don't want to give away anything, but I really, really cannot stress how much you guys should read this, because there were so many parts where you're like, oh, that's it. She's been exposed. Oh, that's it. This is it for her. She's going to die now. They're going to like execute her or something. And then something happens, either luck or coincidence or just her being super smart. She gets away with it. And it's just like, what? How is one person this lucky, this clever, this like, I marked a bunch of my favorite scenes. Like, let me see. How did I skip a whole bunch of pages? Okay. So this is one of the quotes that I like that she was thinking. You may have ended this, but you haven't ended me. She thought fiercely at him and felt the truth of it shining inside of her so brightly that it seemed capable of igniting anything it touched. Nobody will ever end me. I'll be so great that no one will be able to touch me or come near me for fear of becoming nothing. Like, that's her mindset throughout this. Like, oh my gosh. Zhu Chongba is, and I like that she doesn't have a name before becoming Zhu. Like at first it was like, come on, what is her name? But it's important that she doesn't have a name, because then it means that she takes on Zhu, and it made it less confusing. So at first she's the girl or a girl, and then when Zhu dies, she's like, I am now Zhu. I will be Zhu. And so, sorry, I'm gonna end up reading it again if I keep looking. And so she embraces Zhu and is like, well, what would Zhu do to be great? This is what I have to do to be great. This is what I have to do to survive. And it's just, I know it's a really great read, and if I keep talking about it, I'm gonna end up reading it all over again. But this is definitely one, and there's gonna be a part 2. The way this one ends, there's gonna be a part 2. I highly recommend this one. If that one little passage I read didn't get to you, I don't know what will, honestly. But this book is just, it's beautifully written too. There's some really good scenes, like battle scenes that were like wonderfully written as well. And Zhu is a great character to read about. Like you root for her throughout the entire book, even if the choices that they make are very questionable at some point. You're like, well, you know what? I get it. I can see where you're going and why you need to do what you're doing. But you root for her, and you want her to survive, just because her spirit is so. And like, there's this line from her enemy in the book. Ouyang, I think is how you pronounce it. The worst punishment is being left alive, because he's a eunuch. And so for him, the worst punishment is being left alive, because he's like ostracized from everybody. Like they think of him as like a cursed being. Let's see, what's another line? Zhu saying, however tired I am, however hard it is, I know I can keep going because I'm alive. Like, that's her determination. So yes, I definitely, this is probably one of my top 3. Probably for now I'll say number 1. She Who Became the Sun by Shelley Parker Chan. And then, so it was an unplugged book box as well. And so there were 2 different, they did this thing where they did exclusive covers. So This was their unplugged book box cover. And then this was the cover that came, the original cover. So there's 2 different covers for it. And I like that as well. 2 different takes on the cover. All right, 3 minutes to spare. Sweet, I'm doing good. All right, next book. 1,000 Steps into Night by Tracy Chee. All right, this book, this one reminded me of Inuyasha. It's set back in that feudal time. So this one is about a young girl, wow, what was her name? Miyoku, who gets cursed. And it's like this curse is turning her whole body black and everything she touches dies. And it's an adventure story about how she has to travel to the to this place. I think it was like the world of the gods or something like that. It's been a while since I read this one. And to get rid of her curse. And it was just a fun little adventure story. Like it's a young adult fiction one, but it didn't really read like a young adult fiction. Well, in some spots it did, like the resolution at the end and stuff like that kind of read like one. But I thought the story was really, I thought it was a really cute story, and it was really fun to read. And like the friend she makes along the way, like her little bird friend. What the hell was his name? What the hell was the little bird? Her bird friend was freaking adorable. Gaiki. Okay, so her friend Gaiki can turn from a bird to a human, and like he has what I would call my attention span, where he sees something shiny, he has to take it. And his excuse is, I'm a bird, duh. But so Miyoku and Gaiki are going on like a quest to go relieve her of this curse, and like they meet a bunch of different characters along the way, and it was just a cute little adventure story, and it definitely made me think of Inuyasha, like Kagome going on this adventure with Inuyasha to put the jewel thing that I can't remember the name of right now back together. That's what I was thinking of this whole time. The whole time I read this, and like because I watched Inuyasha like obsessively, I was able to envision like a bunch of the gods and the demons and stuff that she met. I was able to like envision a lot of the stuff that was in here like pretty easily. But no, if you're looking for like a cute little fun adventure story, like a cute little, you could read this to like as a bedtime story to a kid. I don't think there was any swearing or any like really gruesome details or anything in it, but yeah, I think I don't know where I would rate this I think it is in my top 5 because I really enjoyed it. It was another one of those ones I didn't want to put down, and I read it really quickly too. But I also really love the artwork, the cover when I first got this, because this is another unplugged book box. I was trying to get through them. I have like 50 unplugged book boxes that I have to read through because I get them every month, so they just keep piling up. But I loved the cover, like the artwork on the cover, the artwork on the back. But no, the detail in the writing, the characters are what did it for me. Even the minor ones that they met, they all had their own personality, and they all just kind of sprang off the pages for me. Leaped off the pages for me. And I just, this was such a fun story to read. Oh my God, I keep saying that, but it's so true. It was just such a fun story, and like I loved all the characters, and when any of them were in peril, I was really concerned because I wanted to hug all of them. And I really love this cover. Okay, I'm gonna stop because I keep going back to the same things. but I highly recommend this also. I don't think there's any of these books that I don't recommend. I like them all, but 1,000 Steps into Night, definitely recommend. I am not doing very well at keeping to letting the timer go off, but I think it's my anxiety saying don't let the timer go off. Next book. All right. A Curse in Ash by Julie Xantopoulos. I have mixed feelings about this one. What I really, really like is it came with a bookmark. That's a tarot card. That was really cool. I enjoyed, okay, so I liked the whole, like, the world they built where it's like our world and the world of the Fae kind of are intertwined and like we coexist basically. I don't know if I liked the character. So I don't know if I liked our main character. I think it's pronounced Ashlyn, but it's spelled Aisling. I don't know if I liked her. She seemed a little too perfect, if that made sense. Kind of like a Mary Sue almost. And like all this weird stuff is happening to her. But it feels like it's all happening to her a little too conveniently, I guess, like in a Mary Sue type of way. I don't know. I like the idea of the story, and there is a part 2 coming out that I do want to read just to see what happens. But I don't know. The story was well written. I did like the other characters. I just didn't like the main character. I think that's what kind of took me out of the book. So I didn't really like the main character, Ashlyn. So I didn't really like the main character, Ashlyn, but for the most part, I like the rest of the characters. I like the idea behind the story, and I like the way the world was built, where there's the veil, which is in any other story where there's the Fae involved, there is the veil, and there's like certain nights, like on here it says everyone knows you don't mess with Fae on a new moon. So on the new moon, the veil is super thin, and like there's like legal ways the Fae can cross, and there's illegal ways the Fae can cross, and it's like that we coexist. So the Fae can come into our world, and sometimes they're there and they're just there, and other times they're there with like more evil intentions behind their visits. And Ashlyn works with an agency that kind of moderates that, and she like helps like with like crime scenes and stuff like that, I guess. So I don't know, I didn't really get into the story as much as the other ones, mainly because I didn't like how like perfect she was. She didn't really seem to have any flaws, is my problem. It was my whole problem with the story. So it kind of took away from the rest of it that was going on. Like there wasn't really anybody that outright hated her from what it felt like reading, unless I was too caught up in how perfect she was to notice that. Didn't feel like there was anybody that hated her, and the conflict that was happening was caused because she was too perfect at what she was doing. So I don't know. I'm still going to read the second one that's coming out. I forgot the name of it because it was just announced on the Unplugged's website that it's coming out. But I don't know. I hope there's another bookmark. That would be really sweet. Because I just absolutely love that it came with a tarot card bookmark, because I use tarot cards as bookmarks. I have a specific deck for bookmarks, for tarot card bookmarks. I have a specific deck for that. I randomly draw one for each book that I read. But yeah, so I don't know. I don't really have much to say on this one because of that, because I was really off-put by, I don't like characters that are too perfect or so flawed that they come off as perfect in a way. Like, yeah, I have a really big gripe against Mary Sue characters. I eventually am doing a tutorial on those to go with the rest of my other tutorial videos that I do. They take me out of the book. So I honestly don't really remember much about this book because of that. But it is one of the ones I read, so I tried to do a review on it. Sorry, guys. Next one. The 22 Murders of Madison May by Max Berry. I had a good time reading this one. So I've read one other book by Max Berry. It was Lexicon, and that one blew my fucking mind. And so I knew I was going to have some sort of enjoyment reading this one. So the premise is basically some people found a way to jump reality, not time travel, reality shift, I think is what they call it in the book, reality shift. And so there's this girl, I think her name is Felicity. Felicity accidentally gets involved with all these people just because she happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. So she gets shifted out of her reality. And they end up recruiting her because, well, you're here now. You accidentally shifted realities. Now you can help us. Madison May is being murdered over and over again by the same guy. So he's like a serial killer of the same person. He's like shifting realities and hunting for this same person. And they're like, why? Why is he doing that? And it like goes through the reasons why in the book. So I'm not going to tell you because I really want you to read this one. It's the first one that I started reading for the whole binging process. If I had been smart, I would have put that in order, but I don't remember the order after this one. So I just know this was the first one because I was really excited to read this. Didn't get this in Unplugged Book Box, got this at Target. But so Felicity doesn't have a choice. She just kind of goes, fine, I guess I'll help you. I don't really have a choice. And then they're like, we'll help you get back to a reality that's good for you, but you can't go back to the one that your reality. So you can basically move forward, but you can't go back. So you can go to a more suitable one, but you can't go back to the one you have. So if I'm in my reality right here and I shift to a different one, it's slightly different, but it's not the same. I can't go back to that one. So she's pissed and devastated, but she's willing to help so that she can, stop this from happening to Madison and potentially get to maybe a slightly better reality and a slightly better situation than whatever she was in at the time. So that's what this book is about. And it was just, Max Berry has a way of writing things where you're like, I can't put this book down. This one I read in a day because I couldn't put the book down. And it was just kind of like, I don't know, you really wanted to know the guy's intentions behind why Madison May and why do you keep killing her? Like, dude, get a new hobby. Like, that was my whole thought every time that the like you get little parts of the killer and like his mindset, and you're like, dude, you need to like take up sewing or coloring or something. Like, dude, just knock it off. But it was a page turner for real, and I was very happy with the outcome because I had a lot of high hopes going into it because I read Lexicon. You really, really feel for a lot of the characters, not the killer, you fuck that guy, but you really feel for Felicity and her devastation when she realizes that she can't go back to her other reality. You feel for one guy when you figure out why he's in the group that's reality shifting and his motivation behind continuing to reality shift. You even feel for Madison, who has no idea what's going on, but she's just kind of getting murked left and right. Like, you just want to hug her and be like, it's okay. You're probably gonna die, but it's okay. Like, you don't really know what else to do in that situation, but the details in this book are amazing. Like the descriptive writing, you feel like you're right there with Madison, with Felicity, and just there's a lot of good like comedy sections too. Like, it's both parts like thriller, comedy. It's a really good like combination of like you're like horrified at what's happening, your brain is about to like explode, and there's scenes where you want to laugh too. It was a really good, it's like a good healthy mix of all of them. And I want to go on a search for more Max Barry novels because he's up there now with some of my favorite authors. Max Barry, Brom, Stephen King, Neil Gaiman, just to name a few. Not that I've been thinking about it for a while or anything, but no, I definitely enjoyed this book. I love you, Max. Thank you for writing this book. Thank you for writing Lexicon. Just, this book was so, it got the ball rolling for binge reading, definitely. I finished this book and was like, all right, what's next? Give me more. So I definitely recommend this. It was really enjoyable. You will have a good time reading it. I promise you. Check it out. All right, next one. Anatomy, a Love Story by Dana Schwartz. I think that's a D. That's a D. Let's check on the inside real quick. That doesn't help me. Okay. I probably, okay. This one was interesting in the sense, okay, so it's about a young girl who wants to learn medicine, but it's set back in a time where it's like frowned upon for women to do anything except get married and push out babies, basically. What's the time era? Man, it doesn't tell me. You know what? You know what time period I'm thinking of. Women can have children, push out some babies. That's about it. But this girl is determined to be a doctor. She wants to be a doctor. She wants to be a surgeon. She's going to do this. That's her motivation. Her name is Hazel. So it's about Hazel and Jack. And okay, so it's called a love story, but I feel like the love part was really rushed. Because, like, I feel like the love doesn't happen to, like, the last third of the book, kind of. But basically, Hazel, she pretends to be a boy for a little bit to sneak into some lectures by this doctor to, like, you know, learn medicine and stuff. Eventually, she gets outed, and she makes a deal with him, like, if I can learn medicine all by myself, you'll let me take the test to become an actual doctor, da-da-da. And the doctor's like, you know what? That sounds like fun. Bet. So she makes a deal with Jack, who's a grave robber, who digs up bodies, you know, and sells them to doctors and medicine. Doctors to, like, you know, do autopsies and, like, for science and stuff like that. She makes a deal with him, and he starts bringing her bodies so she can dissect and learn and stuff like that. And, like, there's, like, this whole thing about, like, grave robbers or, like, homeless people were going missing, and she inadvertently helps solve that, too. Something like that. I don't know. I didn't really enjoy this one. Like I said, it's called a love story, but I don't feel like there really was love there. Like, it feels like they wanted to pass it off as love. Like, there were moments where they have, like, eye contact with each other, but that's about it. And, like, by the end of the book, like, I feel like the love started literally at the last third of the book, but it barely felt like love. And, it felt rushed. It felt like rushed love just to put in that there was love, when the book was mostly focused on she wants to become a doctor. I felt like that's what it really should be focused on, and the love should have just been a backstory to it. I didn't really care for it. I didn't care for the ending either way. I don't know. I didn't feel like the characters were really lively enough compared to the rest of the books that I've been reading either. So, I don't know. It's hit or miss. Young adult fiction is really hit or miss for me. So, take my poorly worded review with a grain of salt, because I don't really read a lot of young adult fiction. So yeah, take what I'm saying with a grain of salt. Nothing against the author. I just don't generally read young adult fiction, so this is just how I feel about it. But yeah, so I don't know, I didn't really care for this one. I like the cover, it's really pretty, but I don't know, I read the whole book because I don't generally like stopping books. I've only ever stopped reading 3 books, but I don't know, this one didn't really do much for me. Like, I think it would have been more interesting if it had just been her learning medicine, studying for this exam, and if her and Jack had been friends, and like, because something happens to him and she like tries to go looking for him, that would have been more interesting. But to say that they were in love, it just didn't feel like that. That felt like a very rushed put in at the end to call it a love story thing, and that's where I didn't really like it at the end. And Hazel, okay, she is very much a, I'm gonna do me, this is what I want, like trying to be a trailblazer type of thing. But I don't know, this one just didn't really, that's all. I mean, I still recommend you read it, form your own opinion. Like, I'll never say don't ever read this book. You should always read it. Always read something, form your own opinion. Don't take whatever I said it like as like, you know, final word. I just didn't really enjoy this one as much as the other ones. That's all I have to say on that. The last book, Improbable Magic for Cynical Witches. This book was fucking cute. Okay. Pretty sure it's young adult. It's by Kate Selsa. S-C-E-L-S-A. This book was just cute. This book was fucking adorable. Probably my top 3. So if I'm gonna say top 3, it was gonna be Madison May, She Became the Sun, and this book. So we have a young girl, lived in Salem all her life, so used to the tourists and the antics over Halloween. So Eleanor doesn't believe in witches. Eleanor is sick of all the hype around Salem, all the tours, all the gaudy tourist shops, the gift shops, and all of that. She meets a girl named Pix, who is a witch. And so it's this cute story. So Eleanor had some stuff happen in her past with a girl, and like just some things happened, and she's like, she feels like she's ridiculed at school. She's the social outcast, a social pariah. She doesn't have any friends, things like that. And she meets Pix, and there's like this spark, this like emotions, and she doesn't know what to do with it because she's been alone for so long, like a year or something like that. She's just shut off from everybody because she's assuming that everybody hates her. And Pix and her friends show up, and like there's this immediate attraction to Pix, and like she starts hanging out with them. Her and Pix get closer, and it's like this cute story. It's like a cute little coming of age story, and accepting that you can't change the past and what you've done in the past, but you can look towards your future and accept that you were here and now in the present, and be with the people that you are here with now. And it was just, I really enjoyed Pix and the other people that are in Pix's coven. I don't feel like looking up their names in the book right now. Eleanor kind of annoyed me at some points because you can clearly tell when you're reading the book that Eleanor is in her own feelings, and they're not like valid feelings. Like you can tell that she's making the situation a lot worse than it actually is. So you get annoyed with her at some points. You're like, bitch, if you don't just fucking take off your jaded glasses and look around with some fresh set of peepers and see that you are just blowing this whole thing out of proportion. And so you go along with her journey, and you kind of like slow clap for her when you watch her realize that, damn, okay, maybe I was kind of just over exaggerating. But it's a great story. It was cute. It's a cute little like teenage, but they're like 17, 18, teenage romance. It was cute as hell, and I enjoyed this whole story. Like, it was another one that I read like a day and a half. Again, I read till like some early hour of the morning, and then my brain was like, hey, your eyes hurt, go to sleep. But I recommend it. Even if you're not really a fan of young adult fiction, like I'm not really big on young adult fiction, but I read this one and was just like, this is the cutest fucking story I've ever read. Like, oh my God. I will tell so many people to read this one just because it's so goddamn adorable. Like, I don't really have a lot of gripes with this one, because I was just like, this is a love story. This is a young adult love story. And I will reread this. This is one of those books that I will read again. So that's all I have to say on that. I'm running out of words. Words have been hard today. So that is it for my book reviews. I am trying to get better at posting stuff. Things have been a little difficult lately, so it's been kind of hard to be on a schedule to post. I am getting better up here, so hopefully that helps me to get back to posting. I do have 2 tutorials that I've already like written up. They're already in the sketchbook to be recorded. I just have to record them. Somehow that's always the most daunting part of it all. I am still doing reading with my nephew. I just have to get him here. Keisha and I are reading book 2 of Crescent City, House of Sky and Breath, I think is what book 2 is called. We're working out a schedule for that. And we are starting a podcast. Recording dates to be determined, because we've got a lot of research we got to do for that. So that, I will do another announcement video for that later. That is all I have for you for now. I'm trying to think as I look around. Do I have anything that I'm trying to remember that I can put now, or should I do a different video later? Nope, that is it. All right, well, thank you for sticking with me, if you stuck with me as long as you did. Once I finish some more books, I will do another book review. Maybe actually try to stick with the timer thing this time. But other than that, I will see you guys later. Bye-bye.